So you want to know the difference between living in Del Sur or living in Forest Ranch, and it's a question that a lot of people have, so I'm not surprised. In this video, we're going to take you through the differences of the two neighborhoods who are always compared to each other, so you have clarity on what's what. And if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know about not just Del Sur and Forest Ranch, but everything San Diego, the real estate market here, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between, on this channel, we make every effort to keep it real and give you exactly what you're looking so you can make an informed buying or selling decision and select the right neighborhood for you. If this is your first time here, hit that bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments what you want to hear more of so we can keep producing content that you like. I'm Dan Beer, and every single day, people just like you are sending us text messages, phone calls, emails. We're setting up Zoom calls or meeting in person to help you navigate the San Diego real estate market and to help you make an easy, smooth move within the county. So whether you're making the move in 9 days, 90 days, 9 months, it doesn't matter to us. We just want to be in a position to help. Let's jump into it. So one of the reasons that Del Sur and Forest Ranch are compared so often is that they're actually very similar, but there's no question that they do have a distinct fabric to them. You can tell if you're in one versus the other. From a location standpoint, let's just start there. When you look at the map, location-wise, Del Sur, first off, is a lot smaller. So it's a smaller neighborhood taking up a smaller footprint, though a lot of it is outlined by these canyons. And so there's a lot more kind of just canyon front real estate in Del Sur. But Del Sur does not have the proximity to the freeway that Forest Ranch has, even though Forest Ranch is right next to it. So unless you're on the most western side of Forest Ranch, which would be the furthest from the freeway, the rest of it, if you're on the south end of Forest Ranch, you actually have fairly good and easy access over to Carmel Valley Road, where you can then go one way and get to the 15 fairly quickly, or go the other way and make your way west, and then eventually you could also get south over to the 56. Del Sur, just a tiny bit more. Look, and we are splitting hairs here, just to be clear. We're talking about, the difference between 3, 4, 5 extra minutes a day. But when that's maybe you're a carpool parent and going, multiple times in and out, school pickups, an extra 3 minutes one way, 3 minutes the other way can make a difference. So from a location standpoint, it's going to be really dependent on do you require a little bit more convenience, or do you require a little bit more open space, frontage, canyon, right? A little more of that kind of beauty, which Del Sur does have a more aesthetic look to it. Forest Ranch, there's a lot more property that's landlocked within it. Ultimately, I think also one of the things that you'd want to consider is if most of your life takes place further east, say you're going to access the I-15 a lot, you're going to get into you have to make your way to Poway or Escondido, Rancho Bernardo, Scripps Ranch. For whatever reason, you're making your way that way a lot. 4S might be a little bit better for you if you tend to kind of sneak down San Diego Road, get over to Rancho Santa Fe, get over to Del Mar, make your way up the coast. Maybe you're going to go enjoy Encinitas or all of those things that happen out that way. Then Del Sur would probably be a better location for you. All right, now let's talk about the real estate options and specifically the type of property that you'll find in each neighborhood. Now, they both have options, okay? Everything from estate homes to smaller homes, townhomes, even apartments are gonna be located in both neighborhoods. But if we're generalizing, Del Sur will have more luxurious properties in proportion to the overall property count versus what Forest Ranch has. Forest Ranch has a much wider range. There's more condo communities and townhome communities. There's a variety that's larger in Forest Ranch, but their high-end properties don't quite reach the high-end property levels of Del Sur, which tend to be just more stately, more grand, and more luxurious. And by the way, in Del Sur, you'll even find 55 and up communities. So there's really kind of something for everybody in both. I think that if you're someone who's looking for, hey, I'm in search of a 5,500 square foot, kind of just beautiful, really modern architecture, property butting up onto a canyon, Del Sur's probably the call for you. If you're somebody that's looking more for 2,500 square foot house, maybe a townhome, Forest Ranch is going to have more options. And having said that, Del Sur has those also. And by the way, 4S has some homes with beautiful views as well. We're talking about, in general, what you're going to find more of in one neighborhood versus the other. So that's kind of the breakdown. I'd encourage you that when you're making you're doing your search, you don't really break it down to, listen, I'm only Del Sur, I'm only Forest Ranch, until you've seen both. I think that's really important, because at the end of the day, unless you're targeting a specific elementary school or you're doing something along those lines, I would encourage you to stay open so you have more inventory choices. From an overall lifestyle perspective, I don't think it's going to be dramatically different for you, whether you're in 4S or you're in Del Sur. But pricing does tend to be a little bit higher in Del Sur. And one of the reasons for that is amenities. Both neighborhoods have amenities. Both neighborhoods have parks. There's pool, but Del Sur has a plethora of them. You get a key card and you can go and access. And I think it's like, it was 12 for a long time. They keep adding them. I believe now it could be 14. Pools where almost regardless of if you have friends on one end of Del Sur or the other, or, there's always a pool to gather at. They have barbecues. It's just more amenity rich. One of the parks there has a big basketball court. There's a tennis court. There's a skate park. So from a pure amenity standpoint, and one of the reasons why Del Sur does have a little bit of an elevated price point is it has more modern architecture than 4S has. Yeah, just the kind of more open floor plans that were built, say, since 2014 or so to now. And it also just has more amenities. And so that's one of the bigger drivers also on pricing between the two communities, and also just scarcity, because there are less homes in Del Sur than there are in Forest Ranch. Again, I'd encourage you to go look at both, because if you found the right home for you in 4S, I don't think you'd sit around thinking, boy, I'm really missing a lot of what Del Sur offered. So it just depends a little bit on what is important to you. Start there, and then once you've been out to both communities, you can say, okay, let's zero in on one of them if one of them is speaking to you or calling to you. Let's bump over to schools. Kind of the same deal. So both have excellent schools, but Del Sur is considered to have this slight edge. Why? Well, because number one, Design 39 is located right there in Del Sur, and Del Sur Elementary School, which won the Blue Ribbon Award, is of course there as well. But if Del Sur schools didn't exist, everyone would just be sitting around raving about the Forest Ranch schools. Okay, so I really, this video in particular is kind of a hard one to produce, in that we are really splitting hairs between the differences in the communities. But I'm wanting, if you kind of find yourself in that which way do I go mode, and you're trying to really weigh one versus the other, then Del Sur is in general considered to have a tiny bit of an edge, but I don't think it's anything that your kids are ever going to complain about, right? Or remember. I think you're going to get a wonderful education either way. All right, let's talk shopping really quickly. This is where 4S is going to get the edge. Del Sur has this small little Del Sur Town Center. It's anchored by a Target. It's not very sexy. There's not much. I mean, you have a Chick-fil-A. That's about as exciting as it's going to get. The Italian restaurant, a bike shop. But there's just not a lot there. It's small. Though there is the other side of the Del Sur Town Center. It does have a Sprouts, it does have an Orange Theory, okay? But still, it's so much smaller than the shopping that's happening at Forest Ranch. Forest Commons is the name, so if you need to Google it, look it up, whatever it might be, Forest Commons. It is much larger, several restaurants, 2 different grocery store options. So you have both Jimbo's, which is like a kind of health food, sort of organic, right, type of very, very, very expensive shopping grocery store, or you have Ralph's, which has everything, right? Big, gigantic grocery store. But you're just gonna have so much more there. You have everything from like an Ace Hardware to Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, all anchored at the Forest Commons shopping center. You have a massage place, Massage Heights it's called. You have, again, several restaurants, a Mexican restaurant, Chipotle. You have the place where I go and cut my hair. You have a salon. You have World Market. And talking about more like world kind of stuff and trying to get away from the little chains, you have a really awesome dumpling shop in Forest Commons. Now a little boba shop is open next door. And Moser Coffee, which I'm not sure if that's a chain or not a chain, but it's certainly not a Starbucks. Moser Coffee is awesome. I mean, we will often drive right past a Starbucks to go to Moser Coffee. It's just really, really good. So from a pure shopping perspective, there's no question that 4S has the edge. In fact, I'll tell you just a personal story. My dog, we went hiking, and she ended up with all these I don't even know what these things were, but they looked like screws. I mean, just hundreds of them stuck inside of her. There's some kind of little plant that just got stuck, plus a bunch of foxtails. After about an hour of trying to pull them out, couldn't do it. Long story short, I have to take her to the hospital, the animal hospital. It's at Forest Commons. So it's right there. And also, there are a number of gyms that are in the Forest Ranch area, just outside Forest Commons. You have LA Fitness, which is big, has everything from a pool to racquetball, everything you can think of. There's some more like little niche gyms that are in these industrial buildings that are over in the commercial space in Forest Ranch. Speaking of commercial space, there's a ton of jobs that are located in the Forest Ranch job and business parks. And even a place called Jiminy Kids, which we've been taking our kids to forever. It's like a little, right? It's gymnastics for kids, and we'll drop our kids off. They'll spend some hours there. They love it. There's sports facilities for training the kids, for their sports teams, for Little League. There's a lot more going on from that perspective in 4S. Even if you live in Del Sur, you'll probably spend more time using Forest Ranch commercial amenities, not their neighborhood amenities, but the commercial amenities that are adjacent to the houses. And now finally, let's just talk about the community aspect of each neighborhood. If you watched the Del Sur pros and cons video that we did on this channel, you saw at the final pro and con, it was kind of one and the same. And it was just how tight-knit the community is, but also that can get talky, gossipy, etc. So if you were more on the no, like I love the fact that this has tight community, people know each other, people talk to each other. There's the poker game, the Memorial Day festival, the 4th of July celebration. If you were more in the camp of loving and seeing that aspect as a positive, Del Sur might be more the place for you. It does have a tighter community feel. But if you were listening to that video thinking, boy, I don't know, that might be a little bit too much for me. I think I'd like a little bit more just on anonymity, then you might be leaning more Forest Ranch. So use this as your guide. Ask us any questions in the comments. We answer 100% of them, and we will help you with any other questions you have. Like I said, people are reaching out every day through text, phone calls, emails, and we have all of that available for you in the description right here in this video so that you can get in touch with us very easily and get your questions answered, and we can help you make a smooth move to San Diego. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next video.